friend and colleague of, I don't know, I've known Jay for well over 20 years now, I guess. How are you, Jay? Jay Widener is his full name. I'm glowingly happy, like everyone else is.
Yes, you just radiated.
I'm radiating happiness is what I'm doing. That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It's called
laughing all the way to the grave here.
He's got a cesium personality.
Yes.
Or just call him 134 for short. Or whatever.
Well, don't worry. It's not really going on because nobody's reporting it.
That's right. No, you got it exactly right.
Yeah.
Don't look, don't tell. It's not there.
It's a brave new world where the more fraudulent you get, the more you shut people up. So if you have a really fraudulent birth certificate and everyone starts clamoring to see the real one, you present one that's even more fraudulent, and everyone shuts up.
Uh-huh.
You have a nuclear power plant that's going crazy, 6 of them actually, and everyone's clamoring to know what's going on, and then it gets worse and worse and worse, and everyone just shuts up.
Did you check?
It's going on and on. It's the new way to report the news.
Right. Well, I got out of the news long ago when I knew it wasn't news, and I started this program, and because I knew it was the last stand of real free expression. And now, one of the things that people don't understand, and this is really an important thing, I know most of you folks do. You get it. The other side, the controllers, the evil ones, the Satanists, whatever you want to call them, the globalists, the elite, the Rothschilds, certainly the Zionists, the City of London banking cartel, the Federal Reserve, the Chicago Mafia thugs, all of them. It doesn't matter. It's all part of the same ultimate control mechanism, lorded over by the Rothschild family. They've been at it for hundreds of years. Now, what they have decided to do years ago to control the Internet, knowing that they couldn't actually control it without shutting it down, was to penetrate the Internet at every level, in every important media venue. Whatever news source, whatever topic, it didn't matter. They wanted in. Now that brings them to the obvious conclusion. Well, we can certainly control the disinformation, but how do we control the good stuff? Well, what they did was they began to insert flypaper operatives to control the good stuff. So they control the real news and the bogus news. They control it all. Now that's something that's a little hard for people to understand. Well, why would they do that? Well, why not? They've got people out there who are cranking out 95% very good information. Most of it is stolen and plagiarized, by the way. There's not an original thought in their minds. But it's pretty good information. And then they got the 5% where they can put in the spin, corrupt information to suit their own purposes. But the bottom line is the controllers are controlling both sides of the street on the Internet. And you got to understand that, and I think most of you do. So a lot of you people out there who look up to various people on the net as being great truth tellers are looking up at agents of the other side, and you'll never know it. Never.
No, it's a complete cat and mouse game. I know that because when I was making my Kubrick film, I came across a very curious film called Dark Side of the Moon. You can actually see it on YouTube. And it's a French documentary, and they interview the wife of Stanley Kubrick, in which she admits that Stanley had a secret file full of NASA stuff. And for the whole life of me, I could not figure out what was going on here. And pretty soon the film goes into interviews with Kissinger and Rumsfeld, all admitting, seemingly, that they were involved in faking the moon landing with Kubrick. And this film came out like 8 or 9 years ago. And I was stunned because I could see it was an obvious fraud. It was obviously somebody, CIA or somebody, created a film that would debunk anyone coming along later who saw any evidence. And I mean, that is how far ahead of the game these guys are. They're working, they're working the anti-conspiracy theories by working conspiracy theories that are so outlandish that any reasonable person would just throw their hands up and say, you guys are all crazy. So I get brushed off. My very good scholarly work gets brushed off with the same people who say, well, look, this film's a fraud, Widener's a fraud. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant how they can control both sides of everything. So if you try to squeeze in with a different opinion, they've got you in a vice, really.
You're totally right, and shame on the people who are smart enough to be able to at least get a reasonable purchase on the con game and don't, and say things like that about you and the few others who are doing really original, brilliant work. That's a loss. But they're casualties that, if you understand what Jay is talking about, we are seeing all the time. I see it. Otherwise intelligent people buying into crap. And you try and gently suggest, well, wait a minute, da-da-da-da-da-da, and there's this animosity, there's an instant, like a knee-jerk reflex hostility you hear in their voice. Not all of them, but it's there. They want to attack. And then there are the people who just withdraw, like Gerald Celente was just talking about in the last hour. They just don't want anything to do with it anymore. They want to, light another stick.
Unfortunately for them, they're not going to be able to withdraw because whatever it is that's coming, it's going to come get everybody. And what's coming is so threatening to all of us that I hope to God everybody is getting prepared for the collapse, because things are really reaching a critical mass right now, and I just don't know how long it can all keep rolling. And but they keep pumping it out, man. They keep pumping the money out. They keep pumping the stock market up. They obviously are trying to keep putting away this thing that's coming for as long as they can. I think it's interesting to wonder why they don't want the collapse to happen sooner. And so it's just going to be worse when they put it off.
Right. I've got to raise another issue. There are still otherwise bright people, intelligent people, who are trying to tell me that this Japan earthquake was intentional, that we destroyed Fukushima on purpose, we engineered it, and we took down this incredible cash cow that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers have controlled for decades and decades and decades. And they're destroying the real estate to winnow the herd. Look, these people are not stupid, and you folks know that. They're bright people. They're sophisticated. As Jay just pointed out, they're often 10 years ahead of the game. They set up false opposition, controlled opposition, to make you think you've got support, when in reality the people you look up to lead the way are working for them. And that's the truth. There's one person who's gaining more notoriety all the time, and if you look to see what that person's source of support is, it's an absolute perfect cookie-cutter CIA storefront operation.
It is.
But you just, I'm not going to mention any names, there's no need, because they're all over the place.
It's incredible because they're all over. I mean, Gloria Steinem admitted in the Washington Post in 1968 that she got her journalistic skills from working with the CIA. I mean, you start looking under the cover of every single person. Barney Frank was a CIA guy.
You can look under the covers of Barney Frank. I don't want to look under them.
Yes. The proof that pigs can talk. You start looking under all these people and their lives, and you start seeing that there's just all these weird connections that always lead back to the same things, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere, Jesse Ventura tells a story of his first day as governor. He got called down to the basement of the Capitol building in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. There's like 300 people there, postmen and bankers and musicians and writers, all Minnesotans, and they all start peppering him with questions. And he says, well, what the hell's going on here? And they said, well, we're all CIA, and we're embedded in the community, and we don't know who you are, and we want to know everything about you. And for like 15 hours, they peppered him with questions. That's why he didn't run again. I mean, he was like terrified. And they were everywhere, he said. He said they're everywhere. So they peppered the entire population with these people. And, you know, I believe it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's sad. What Gerald said also is true, and that's at the very top of the power chain. And don't stop there. Go down through the mid-levels. Go down to the lower levels. Go everywhere. You got pedophiles, perverts, chicken hawks, all kinds of deviants. There are no restraints now. The shackles are off, folks. It's open season on anything and everything of a perverse nature. All values are gone. Morality is passé. Young people think you're nuts. They don't even understand what you're talking about if you try to talk about restraint or responsibility. It's done. And there's no reversing it. No. It's not on the table for discussion. There is no reversal. None. It's got to go down and out the other side. You got to start with the next generation of children and teach them properly. Is that going to happen? Fat chance. And that's not to say there aren't some good parents out there. There are. All right, back with Jay Weidner in just a couple minutes. And welcome back. Talking to Jay Weidner, as we do once a month. Jay's website is a great place to spend some time looking around, sacredmysteries.com. He has some remarkable videos on there. His latest is all about Kubrick, and I hope you'll patronize and get yourself a copy. I haven't been able to look at the whole thing yet, but it's typical Jay Weidner filmmaking analysis at its best, presented in a very approachable way, and raising all kinds of interesting things that most people will never think about, if thinking is even being done by most people anymore. I honestly, I believe that it's been reduced to a very simple... do you know much about this Twitter thing?
No, except that I know that in England, calling someone a twit is a serious insult. It means you're stupid. So I figure, you know, it must have some sort of connection.
What's in a word, yeah.
Yeah, Twitter. No. So I don't know. I don't mess with it.
I've been told that it, I don't know anything about it. It uses predicting text. Tim Refat said you can have only 145 characters to use, and I guess it does most of the word finishing for you, just like cell phone predictive texting. Same idea.
Yeah, well, you know, we're hooked up to it because I got an email from one of my cameramen for my new film suggesting a place where I could get a lens, and I'd never heard of the place before. I wrote it down, and it was on my email. And then the next day I was, you know, tooling around on the Internet, and I noticed I was getting ads for that company everywhere.
Uh-huh.
That I'd never seen before.
Uh-huh.
So Google somehow picked up the word from my email, which is not connected to Google in any way, and then used it. Maybe the guy that sent it to me is.
Right.
And then started sending me ads all over the place, interspersed through all these websites for the product, and I found that a little bit disconcerting. And I think that's probably the norm now.
Well, it's become rather cliched to say there's no privacy anymore, but the average person doesn't really know what that means. It means no privacy. It means, and I had a story yesterday, DARPA is apparently going to come up with some kind of, I guess if I read it right, it was an online total information portfolio dossier that you can get on anybody. Photos, photos, life story,
keeping track of everything.
The whole thing. And
every website that you go to is under your name in your file, and there's programs. Dreamland in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually an acronym for Data Retrieval, Evaluation, and Management Land.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because underneath that base, there's a lot of UFOs saying that,
right.
But underneath the base are these a whole bunch of huge cray computers and they're going through the entire internet, and they're analyzing you, buddy, according to how and where we're going to websites, and that we're all being completely analyzed, and by no humans involved, just these programs going. And anytime they want to call one up, they can, and everybody's got it. It's like that scene in The Matrix where they pull, what's his name, Keanu Reeves over, the bad guys, and they know every single thing about him. That's exactly what's going on. They want to pull you over and tell you who you are, and if you have any brains, whatever you do not ever go to a porno site anywhere, because you are seriously being watched, and for a lot of reasons.
And you know, okay, that's interesting, because I've had people write to me and they say they click on what appears to be an innocuous link, and there they are on a porn site. Yeah, so that goes in your record too.
Get off as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I know exactly what we're talking about, and do not stay on that site, because there's all sorts of different things. It was what you were actually talking about before. These people who run our governments now are, you know, they practice sex magic, and they're looking for certain kinds of people, and you really don't want to get in their little nest. Trust me. And you don't want your children to get anywhere around it either. And they're fishing for your children too, and that's another whole series of things that no one in the media is reporting, is what's going on in that thing.
That's something that needs to be, I don't know how we could do it, but it needs to be talked about on this program by somebody who knows about this. But they're trolling for children in the most nefarious of ways on the internet. And I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe you do. I'm sure.
Well, I found out by doing my Kubrick stuff. You know, there's some of it, and you know, Pedo Bear is a little teddy bear that they signal each other with. That they found a kid, and I mean, it is hair raising, man. I'm telling you, it is. When you uncover that world, oh my God, it's like, I really wish I hadn't even looked, to be honest with you. But I was investigating Kubrick, and he seemed to be talking about it, you know? So I looked, and what I found was not something I found very comfortable. And
well, who was that guy in San Francisco, the talk show host? Number one, Bernie Ward, busted for porn.
Yeah.
And I guess he's doing time right now. And he was a very good talk show host, and he went over the line and began to tell the truth, and the next thing you know, he's busted for porn.
That's right, because they've already compromised him. That's why they allowed him on. I'm sorry, that's how it works. And, and that's why they have to keep it a taboo, at the same time encouraging it. It's a very curious thing. They got to keep it a taboo so they can keep me. If it's not a taboo anymore, then people aren't going to care.
The other thing is that even if you don't visit porn sites, and let's just say you take snapshots at home of you and your wife, and you look at them on your you look at them on your computer. It's,
oh my goodness!
And they say, "No, I put it in the trash." Folks, it never goes away. It's all there. And they'll just come by and they'll vacuum your entire hard drive, and they'll have all your privacy. Everything you think is sacred is gone. Boom. Everything. All right, hold on, gang. Be right back. Okay, we're back with Jay, and I'm sure you saw the stories today about Fukushima. Finally, the the reactor burst. Formally and officially, TEPCO had to admit that, gosh, there really isn't any water covering what's left of the fuel rods in reactor number 1. They've all broken and fallen to the bottom, and they're a molten, burbling lava mass of death, and they're eating their way through the bottom of the reactor itself, and they'll go right through the containment vessel and then down into the dry well, which is, of course, full of water. They're saying they hope that may slow it down. Slow it down does not mean stop. It'll go right through that, and there is no way in hell they're going to do anything about this. It's not going to happen. When they opened the door so brilliantly to send those men in there what they did, they actually went in to change a pressure valve on the containment vessel of Reactor 1, and they sent these people in there. They're all dead. They killed them. They're going to die within weeks, probably. They're dead. They opened the door, and out came an enormous explosion of over 500 becquerels of death, radiation, right into the atmosphere. And it kept coming after that. It didn't stop, but that was what was pent up in there. It just came gushing out. They then found out that the interior, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, the interior radioactivity output of that reactor, which has no water, none. It's, what the hell? 50, I don't know, 16 feet below where it's supposed to be, something like that. Anyway, there's no water. 700 millisieverts an hour. Wow. Your annual dose is 3, folks. That's all you can take. 3. 700 an hour, and they sent people in there. And they say, well, we didn't know it was that high. Well, those people are gone because there's no suit on the plant that can protect anybody like that. So they killed all those people. And they replaced a valve, and all the valve did was tell them that, gee, there's no water, the sensor in the valve. They're pouring water in there around the clock, 160 tons a day. Do the math. Since March 11th, 160 tons of water a day. They've been forcing in through one of the existing pipes that was still functional, connected to the containment and the reactor. And that water has vanished. Gone. It's all gone into the ocean, of course. But they used that new valve or pressure sensor or temperature, I forget what it was. At any rate, it was stupid. They killed all those people, let all that radiation out, and it will come over here. And Reactor 1, remember, was the one they said was in the best condition that they could do the most with. And now they're having to admit that, gee, it has melted down, and there are probably holes in the bottom. When they say probably, that means a done deal of the reactor itself in Building 1. Building 4, meanwhile, is going to fall over at any moment. It's clearly leaning about 15 degrees. It's destroyed. The atmospheres in 2 and 3 are virtually zero. They can't build up any pressure by pouring water in those. So those containments are obviously compromised as well. Building 2 is still standing, but if you look at the live cam long enough, you'll see plumes of smoke coming out of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there are continuing criticalities and fires going on in all of them. The building in, the spent fuel pool in Building 3, the scene of the most violent explosion, which looked like a mini Hiroshima bomb, was blown to smithereens. It's gone. There is no spent fuel pool that we can determine. A huge fire was shown in 30 frames a second in video. Arnie Gunderson had it. You've seen it on his tape, hopefully. And it's gone. It blew. It went all over. That's why they're finding plutonium hundreds of meters away from the plant, because that fuel pool went into a total explosion, and it blew plutonium and uranium, spent fuel rods all over the place. So, and no, they can't entomb it. No cold water shutdown is possible. You can't get between the rods when they've melted down to cool them. It's done. So they don't know what to do. They literally don't know what to do. And they killed those people that went into Building 1. I guarantee it. They're gone.
Well, yeah, that's a really good assessment, and damning, to say the least.
Well, they knew this long ago, Jay. That's the damning part. Of course they did. Sure.
And again, you know, who's running the show here? A vast conspiracy or a bunch of buffoons? I mean, yeah. I think what happened is there was a vast conspiracy, but I think the buffoons are taking over, and they don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think this is really it's no It's no conspiracy to reduce world population. It's sheer stupidity. It's greed. It's General Electric with 50-year-old technology there, built on the ocean, just begging for a major earthquake on the earthquake capital of the world. And they got one, and they've had them before.
Tsunami capital of the world.
Of course.
Yeah, and they had to have known, and there's no way around it. And they're killing their own children and themselves. It really begs the question here, why would they destroy them on purpose? And the answer is that there's no need to, because it's on a fault already. It's in a tsunami line already. And so then the question becomes, well, then why did they do it, and why didn't they take protective measures before it happened? And the answer then is really interesting, because you're either dealing with just absolute 100% greed or a complete Three Stooges movie. And I really don't know which one it is, but I would bet it's greed.
Well, I think you got a mix in there. It gets so heady after a while. They're like a cocaine addict. They just can't stop, and their nutrition
that's
goes. That's
actually a really good analogy,
yeah.
And I think that's exactly right. In fact, you got to wonder. I'm not saying that this is true, but you have to actually wonder, taking that analogy and actually getting literal, how many of these people that are making these decisions are on some kind of drug? And that's 90%. 90%. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. I think antidepressants like Prozac take such an edge off a person that there is no urgency. There is no quick thinking that comes with a seasoned mind.
Well, then
I think that's what's going on.
Take their access to cocaine and their constant drinking.
That's the dream. And
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you have? You got pharmaceutically induced psychopathy, if nothing else. And
secret history of the 20th century is methadone, actually.
Huh. Well, yeah. All right. Okay. Gardening time, folks, and you really should cover your gardens, and there are cheap ways to do it. This is very important. It's not a joke. We're going to continue to get Fukushima radiation nonstop, and it's going to vary because it comes over in waves. It's not consistent, and it can be anywhere in the United States because of the jet stream, so it doesn't matter where you live. Hey, remember the cesium and the Vermont cattle milk. That should tell you something right there. Back in a minute. Okay, back with Jay, and we're just talking about stuff. His new video is out, DVD, and about the Kubrick. You're going to do more, I guess.
I am, and I'm going to get into some of that, some of this idea that the people in charge are actually practicing a form of vampiric sex magic, or at least that's what Kubrick's saying anyway. And I have actually come to believe that that's actually probably true as I look into the whole thing more and more. And it gets very interesting, actually.
Wouldn't surprise me. Nothing would surprise me anymore, honestly. It's that crazy. This has been going on for a long time, but it has. We just didn't know about it. And now we can talk about it to a limited degree. But, yeah, this thing's been going on for a long time. There's been slavery and child kidnapping and selling going on, for thousands of years. But I never realized how prevalent it was, I guess. Yeah. Let's just look at our Africans. Our brothers and sisters, as they say in Africa, fellow human beings. The latest rage is to rape albinos, especially albino children and young girls, if you have HIV/AIDS, it'll cure you. So they're raping them, and now they've gone to killing them and making potions with various parts of their bodies. So what goes on in Africa is, I don't know. You remember what Dr. Manning said about? Remember that incredible address he took Africans and African Americans to task for not excelling and doing better, and he made some remarkable historical points about what had been achieved throughout the history of Africa, imperialism or not, colonialism or not, by the African people, by blacks. And he really got on them, and it was very interesting. But I mean, come on. All we hear about over there are massacres, bodies in the streets, mass graves, this tribe slaughtering that tribe, Idi Amin killing 2 million or 3 million, and this dictator, that dictator. It's the same old, same old. Now, those countries are being left to their own devices because they have no oil, no obvious natural resources. South Africa was left alone by the British Crown for a couple hundred years. The whites went down there and built a whole civilization until the Queen found out that there were diamonds and gold in South Africa. That's what caused the Boer War.
That's right.
And it's the same old thing. That's why they're after Libya. They will kill Gaddafi eventually. And
yeah, and you know, Gaddafi, I know he's not a nice guy and all that, but I just find it very curious that with everybody that we go after is what on the surface are the guys that actually we should be making our allies. And everybody who's our allies are, on the surface, people that actually supposedly should be our enemies.
Right.
So we have, you know, very far right-wing, militant Muslim theocracies like Saudi Arabia as our allies, and we destroy the so-called liberal Arab and African leaders through assassination and you know, going into their countries and everything. Gaddafi's actually working really hard to bring women into prominence. The Sharia laws aren't in place in Libya. He's trying to reforest the desert, and he's actually stopped desertification. It was the first time ever in history that someone had actually stopped desertification. He planted hundreds of thousands of trees, and one night a bunch of planes appeared out of nowhere. This is in the 80s, and crop dust to the entire forest that he had going, and it was completely dead within 3 months.
I'd never heard this.
Yep, and it was a CIA operation from the 80s, ordered by Reagan. And so, you know, I don't like the guy or anything, but, you know.
Well, the people did. His people had no problem with him for the most part.
Exactly. And then you look and you say, okay, well, gee, man, so some rebels in the United States decide to go up against Obama. Is it okay for China and Russia to come in and support him and then shoot Obama? Is that what you want, that kind of world? And, you know, it's not the kind of world we want. And it's outrageous, actually. And I hate to be somebody defending Gaddafi, because I know he's killed a lot of people and things, but my God, in the whole...
How many
you take
people
all those Arab leaders and African leaders, you put him up there, he has got to be in the top 3 best.
Oh, yeah. Oh, easy. Well, he's much like Saddam Hussein was. How many people has this government killed in Iraq and Afghanistan? Now, come on, we can't even discuss killing people when you look at what this country, in our name, by our silence we allow, has done to the Iraqis and the Afghanis. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're at war with Gaddafi, and it just stinks. The whole thing stinks, and I don't believe any of these revolutions are real. I don't believe any of it. And the whole thing is being fueled and funded by the New World Order to reshape the Middle East into something that they think will be an easier sell to the rest of the world.
What they're doing, in my view, the Rothschilds are once again redrawing the map, so to speak, of the Middle East like they did after the First World War.
I agree. Actually, that's exactly what's going on, and people who show even a modicum of independence are wiped out, and that's exactly what is going on. And they cannot afford anybody to be independent. at all. And if they rise up from nowhere, or they become a leader and then go independent, or go rogue, as they call it, they are targeted for destruction. That's down to the individual level even. And that's why they control the unions, they control the corporations, they control the religions, they control the governments, they control the cults, they control the publishing, newspapers, internet. Very little out there that is not controlled by them. And that just happens to be the only interesting thing out there, is whatever is not controlled by them. Which is on your site, actually, now that I think about it.
Right. Well, most everything seems to be there sooner or later.
I mean, this is what's going on. I mean, the report you have on your site that Wayne Madsen put up, that's an incredible piece of investigative journalism.
Oh, Wayne Madsen, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good stuff going on, but, nobody's paying attention to it.
No.
And I've given up on the American people. So, America, farewell, I love you, but you're like a jilted lover. I can't take your your mannerisms anymore. And I really started to give up on America. The whole hubbubaloo about killing Osama, it made me sick to my stomach, the whole thing. And calling Obama this great guy because he killed this guy. I mean, come on.
They have the American people, the mass of American people have no ability, no powers of discernment anymore. They really don't.
How about the left, which, criticizes Bush, and they should criticize Bush, because he was a total ignoramus.
Right.
And then their guy does the same thing, and suddenly they just turn around and start cheering. And there's just, when you look at the hypocrisy of the left, it is just astounding. Remember Cindy Sheehan? What happened to her?
Right.
She's still protesting the war, but, the leftist media just wipes her out now.
Yeah.
They don't need her anymore.
Now, her ticket to ride has been canceled.
Exactly. That's what they do to all of them. You cannot trust the left. Period. You cannot trust them. They are the worst of the worst. And now we find out Soros is funding, like, almost every single media company in the United States.
Well, he's in bed with Trump for the Trump Tower, that we know.
Absolutely. Donald Trump, by the way, he is running interference. He is designed to wipe out the Ron Paul voter.
They're going to cram this creep down our throats for 4 more years, and at the end of 4 more years of this, there won't be any recognizable America left at all. Nothing.
Dude, you said it, and they're bringing in so many people from the Arab countries into this country right now. It is a plan. Trust me, it's a plan.
Well, look what they've done to England. Tim Refat was on last night, and the whites over there have basically stood by and done nothing while they've been dispossessed. They've lost their pensions. They've lost their jobs to Eastern Europeans, including Poles and Czechs and Romanians, and the Arabs, of course. And I don't know how many, 1 million, 2 at least, black Africans are up there now. The country is trashed. It's finished. So
that's where we're heading. If Obama gets reelected, and maybe even if he doesn't, we will be there by 2016.
You're right. You're right.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
God help anybody living in any urban area.
Flash mobs are going to be raiding every Macy's, every Sears. You mark my words. It'll become an event every day.
Yeah.
Where a flash mob, 300 people show up and just completely, steal everything in sight. And this is going to become the norm very soon here. Get out of the cities.
They call the whites in England Wiggers now.
Yeah. Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, that's what Tim said.
Well, that's going to be it. You're going to see it sweep over, and then the whites will become a minority, and you're going to see the entire edifice completely collapse. It'll collapse long before that.
Yeah, look at California. What's left? There's nothing left of California.
No, there'll
be nothing left. That's all.
It's geometric. We are in such trouble when you look at the demographics that this country is going to be, it's an experiment, but it's going to be an experiment that fails.